The first Lambda function has successfully read the JSON data from the S3 bucket and it has converted it into a JSON array. We have two patient checkout events in this JSON array. Now we are going to loop through this array, fire off two messages to the SNS topic. To do that, the first step is to go to the template.aml file and define a SNS topic as a resource. Under resources, go right there after the S3 bucket, define a patient checkout topic. The type of it is AWS, all capital, : SNS, : T capital, everything else is small, topic. That will tell CloudFormation to create a SNS topic with the above name. Now our first Lambda function, which is the patient checkout Lambda function, needs access to this SNS topic. So we need the name of this SNS topic, or we need a reference to this SNS topic once it is created. You know how to do that. Just like DynamoDB database and database tables, we'll define an environment variable for this patient checkout function. Under environment, under variables, define an environment variable, call it patient underscore checkout underscore topic. And the value for it is, as you can guess, not ref. We use the intrinsic function R capital, EF R small, space, this name here, patient checkout topic. So we are referring to that object or that resource that gets created, and we'll have access to that guy when we read this environment variable, so that we'll dynamically get the name that is assigned to this patient checkout topic, and we'll be using this environment variable in our code to point to the SNS topic and fire off a couple of messages there once we loop through these events. We'll do that in the next lecture.